And I think we need more professional development courses that are like that. And note that this was all based at the school level. Each school had a coach, but it wasn't that expensive because the coaches worked with them via Skype. The coaches were based in Sao Paulo, and the state was in the Northeast. And so the cost of the program was only $2 per student per year. But the teachers all said, we got real useful feedback from these coaches because they really know what they're doing. And they wanted to improve. And when these school bulletins came out, kind of without putting their names on it, but everyone could figure out who was who, they felt that was like a pressure then to try to improve their performance. So I really think trying to have professional development designed to support groups of teachers at the school level to help them all improve their practice is more productive than having big training courses where everyone goes for 2 or 3 days and listens to lectures and then they just go back to their schools and there's no reinforcement. In this program we did in Brazil, there was constant reinforcement because the coaches were talking to the teachers every 2 weeks and looking at videos that they were doing of trying out new practices. And so I feel like that's the kind of direction that's very productive for teacher training.
Okay. On the other hand, we have many problems in education here in Mexico. One of them is the grupos vulnerables, indígenas,
yeah, I know.
Migrantes. So, from your experience, do you have any recommendations to Mexico in order to improve the education for these vulnerable?
Yeah, I mean, equity in education is the biggest issue really for every country. You know, in the United States, the issue is schools in the inner city with high concentrations of, very low income families. In Mexico, it's rural areas in Chiapas and the south, Oaxaca, that the kids are come from very poor families that have a very hard life, and they haven't had the exposure to things that kids in the cities have. So every country needs to have special support for those kinds of students. And the things that I think there's evidence that can work are first taking care of kids' nutritional and health needs, making sure that they get access, and ideally having programs that support families from birth and from ECD, and early nutrition is crucial for brain development, and we know that. And so Chile has a very good program, Crece Contigo, where all the kids in the country are supported prenatally, actually with prenatal care. And I'm not that's familiar with the health sector here in Mexico, but I think that is a big priority. And then when the kids get to school, then make sure that there is school feeding and that the teachers are prepared to either recruited from the community where they speak the local languages, because language of instruction is also another big issue for minority and indigenous people, and often the schools are small, so you really have to operate in a multi-grade setting where one teacher teaches like 5 or 6 grades, and there are methods for doing that very effectively. In Colombia, the Escuela Nueva has functioned very effectively. I don't know if you do anything like that here in Mexico, but it's usually it's a very good model for. And in Colombia, the kids in the rural areas score higher on tests than the kids in the urban areas, because this teaching model of training the teachers specifically how to operate in a multi-grade setting, giving them special resources. One thing they do is have rincones. Every corner, they have a reading corner, a science corner, a math corner, and so the teacher organizes the kids. Some will be doing the reading corner, some will be doing that. And that gives her an opportunity to work individually with the students to help make sure each student gets one-on-one time too. And the other thing is the older students tutor the younger students, and that turns out to be a very effective method of learning for the older kids, because you really learn how to learn something. You really learn something when you have to teach it to someone else. So for all these things, it's been a fantastic model in Colombia. And it's been actually being adopted in Vietnam and India and Brazil, and so you're pretty close to Colombia.
Yeah, but here in Mexico it's the opposite. We don't have any model, a specific model address to serve these these
children.
children.
Well, but you had the telesecundarias was a distance education, but there was also another program.
We have multi-grade schools.
But there was a program of communities, almost
CONAFE.
community, CONAFE,
But it is not enough to all the children, and many of even the persons who are in charge of the groups, they are no teachers.
I know, but I thought they hired young people from the community, to work in the CONAFE centers. The World Bank supported that program, so I always heard that it was fairly successful, but I don't know. You must know better.
I think it is successful, but we need more resources. I think one of the main problems in this model is that the teachers are not teachers like that. One of the positive points is that they speak the language of the community, but they don't know how to teach.
I know, and there really shouldn't be a school model. I mean, it's not schooling. I saw it as more of like a community center for like after-school programs or enrichment programs, but I think the other issue, to be honest, in the southern states is that they're not implementing the teacher reforms either. No, they don't want to hire the teachers by the unions on strike, and it's blocking the reforms. So honestly, you cannot make major progress in education until the quality of the teachers goes up. Same in the United States,
Okay.
And in the United States, the one place that's really making progress is Washington, D.C., where they were at the bottom, number 50 out of 50 states in education performance 7 years ago in 2010. And they did a big reform, and the reform is exactly on the same ideas that Mexico's reform. You have to have higher standards for teachers, you have to make promotions conditional on performance, and you have to give teachers real performance feedback. And you have to have higher salaries for top performers. So in Washington, D.C., the entry salary, compared to in the U.S., the average entry salary for a teacher is $30,000 a year. In Washington, D.C., it's $50,000 a year. So they immediately started attracting applicants from all over. And then they have very strict tests and interviews to get in. And then once you're in, your performance is evaluated every year by experts who come and watch you in the classroom and give you 10 or 20 pages of performance feedback. And if you perform in the top, at the top, I think 15% on the evaluation, you can double your salary. So you have teachers in Washington, D.C. making over $100,000 a year now, which is unheard of in the United States. But that's motivating really smart young people to want to be a teacher there for the first time. So I think, but you have to implement the standards with rigor. That's kind of a key message.
And that's the last question. If you think that we have to strengthen some institutional capacities for the educational evaluation in Mexico.
Do you think that, sorry?
The institutional capacities.
To strengthen institutional capacity?
Yeah.
Well, one thing, I don't know Mexico very well, but I do see that there are some states like Puebla. I met the secretary from Puebla. She's fantastic. And so, one thing that the government can do, which the Brazilian government has done and the U.S. government has done, is just look across the states. And if you see a state that's really doing innovations and reforms and is making progress, give them visibility and give them more resources maybe, or, do something to stimulate the other states to copy what they're doing. I mean, I don't know how the enlace results work, but in Brazil there's an education quality index that comes out every 2 years from the federal government, and it ranks the states. And when those results come out, and it ranks not only the states, but it ranks every municipality and every school. So when those results come out, all of the governors and secretaries of education started looking, well, how come that one improved? What are they doing? And you see in Brazil that a lot of them, they're learning from each other. They're copying programs, like this program we just did in Ceará. 3 other states have now asked us to do the same program with them.
Okay.
So somehow you need to get a sense of competition among the states for showing who can improve the performance the most. And the second thing is, INE, I think, phenomenal agency. I mean, it's one of the best education evaluation agencies in the region, certainly. But this issue that the tests cannot have been too easy. I mean, INE is perfectly capable of developing rigorous tests that would really identify the very top teachers and weed out the other teachers. But if there's no political support for being really firm in the implementation of the reforms, it's impossible for an agency. So I don't think I don't think capacity is the issue here in Mexico. You really have first-rate capacity in a lot of agencies like this, in Instituto Monterrey, and in a lot of school systems like Puebla. You have capacity. The issue is the politics of making sure that reforms are pursued in a serious way, and that the top performers are getting rewarded.
Okay. Well, so that.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
It's fun for me to talk, but I feel I've never spent that much time in Mexico. Like, I know we did some of these classroom observations in the DF a few years ago with Herman Cervantes was the secretary then. But I didn't get to come to Mexico and see the schools, so I feel like I don't know the country that well. But
that it's interesting, the international experience.
But I definitely am seeing across the region, and what's happening is very encouraging. A lot of countries are moving in the same directions, but what counts is how you implement it.
Okay. Well, so thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Can you give me your email?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you a card too.